Where the hell is Krista? We got to get the stream started on time. We're going to be late. Krista, what are you doing? It's VR night. Krista. Krista, you're not taking this seriously. It's VR night. You're holding us back. Can you move out of my shot, please? So, a lot of people have asked us, when are we going to do VR content? And the answer, of course, always was when someone sends us free VR gear. Well, guess what? It's here, and we're ready.
AVADirect sent us this, the Vive, the machine, the whole 9 yards. This is a review. It's not a paid review. But it's still weird because it's like, here, have a computer. We're gonna send it back. We don't get to keep it. I don't want to keep it. That's not even like a thing. But full disclosure, AVADirect was like, do you want to do something? So it's like the VR thing that I mentioned before. This is the Avatar gaming system. This is version 3. This is based around an i5 9600K. It's got 16 gigabytes of memory. It's got the RTX 2080. It's a Corsair Crystal Series 280X RGB tempered glass. It's the Corsair RM750 power supply, which is kind of overkill for this system. You could add a lot to it. The Asus TUF Z390M Pro gaming Wi-Fi. It's the Z390 chipset. It's 1151. It's a micro ATX motherboard. So let's see what else we've got. We've got the i5 9600K, the Hydro H100 Pro RGB 240mm radiator, the Corsair 16 gig kit, the Vengeance RGB Pro DDR4 2666. Yes, I checked the BIOS and it does come with XMP enabled by default, so good job. In terms of if that's a deal or not, basically to figure that out, you just go to like PC Part Picker and run through and do the price comparison shopping. But you got to keep in mind, if something goes wrong, who do you go to for warranty? Well, if you buy this system, the Avatar, you go to AVADirect for your warranty and all your stuff, all your support needs. It does have a 3-year warranty with a lifetime labor and 3-year parts warranty. So if something dies, AVADirect will get you fixed up. If you've ever dealt with the warranty RMA process with pretty much any other company, it's kind of painful. And we've got the Vive Pro kit, the Studio Pro, 7'6" light stands with the carry bag. And this was a gaming bundle, so it came with Black Ops 4. So we're not going to be using that. We're not going to redeem the Black Ops 4 code or anything like that. But that's full disclosure what we got for this system to actually do the review. And if you do the review and you put it through its paces and you do the benchmarking, it basically runs like an i5 9600K. It's 4.6 gigahertz as configured out of the box. I was able, with the H100 cooler, I was able to push that to 5 gigahertz, no problem. It might be nice if AVADirect took the time to do the tuning, but as I understand, it's an upgradable service, or like you can, pay an upcharge and get that overclocking experience, or get the, them to do the overclocking for you and make sure that it's stable, but maybe not. I mean, it just depends on the package and the system that you're looking for and some of the other particulars. That said, perfectly stable, ran really cool. There's really not anything to complain about in the system in terms of the build, the performance. There are no errors. There's a few little nice quality of life improvement, let's say, with the cable extensions and the cable combs, little details like that. It was pretty well put together, and it was well packed with the support foam. So good job, AVADirect. Let's get to the VR.
I've always thought that VR was a flash in the pan. It was like the 3D TV technology. Who really cares? It's not as great. I gotta say that in a lot of ways, this vindicated those thoughts, but in other ways, it surprised me a lot. And the thing that surprised me was maybe the most important thing. It's a lot of fun, and it's really immersive. So if you don't mind setting it up and doing all that, VR is fun. The big thing about the VR is the barrier to entry, of course. It's expensive. If you're not someone who's familiar with hardware, you need to know what to buy. And then you've got all these different choices of what kind of headset to get. And this package is really great if you're that person. If you don't know enough, this just takes the guesswork out of it. It gives you a really powerful computer and the latest VR headset, and you just set it up. Ultimately, what will stop me personally from buying VR, and this is not really a reflection on the AVADirect package, is the setup and the fragile nature of the hardware. We had a base station that was bad out of the box, And when you look at the forums, it seems like that's a really common thing with the Vive. So not only is it a lot of work to take up and down, if you don't have a permanent VR area, and who has a 6x6 part of their home that they just don't use for anything else, then just jumping into a game and having a little bit of fun and then taking it all back down, it's not something you're going to do quickly. The PC that you get with this package is not a VR specific PC, of course. It's Asus and Corsair, and of course it's got the 2080 in it. So this thing is a very powerful gaming PC on its own. You're not just going to use it for VR, or at least you don't have to. So even though the price is kind of high, you're getting a good gaming PC, which really, really makes it more attractive. Ultimately, this is a great package, but I'm still on the other side of the fence with VR. It's a lot of fun, but it's fun probably best in short doses, and the setup and takedown, unless you want to permanently make a part of your home VR, is too much to overcome. The fragility of the equipment, it's just something I think we're not quite there yet, but when we do get there, VR is going to be amazing.
So this isn't my first time using VR. It actually started with the Samsung Gear a couple years ago, and it was fine. I played Minecraft in it, and it was kind of a little bit gimmicky, but I wasn't super impressed by it. In comparison, when we did this system with the Vive, I was actually very impressed with it. I loved the controller scheme, and I really liked being able to feel like I was touching things, like when the butterfly came and landed on my controller. That was precious and a wonderful memory to cherish forever. We played Beat Saber and Gorn, and then I did some of the online environments that you can just download and explore around in. And I really, really liked Beat Saber. As a UX person, I really liked the UX in that, where it felt fairly intuitive to use, but wasn't difficult to use at all. Gorn, I liked the gameplay, did not care for the menu system, but it was just interesting to see how different games would approach the design of something that is truly immersive like that, where you can move around and touch things in real time. As the more normal person in the group here, I'm not someone who necessarily enjoys building PCs. I can kind of, troubleshoot and put stuff together when I need to, but I would say that something like this from AVADirect, where you can just order it and have it all ready to go and not have to worry about, missing parts or something's incompatible or something doesn't fit in the case, that would be a dream scenario for me. Usually I'm getting kind of parts left over from old builds or things from Wendell, which is great, but something like this would actually probably be a good use case for me. So for me, the cost of this, it kind of it hurts a little bit, but the more we started playing it, we were playing it in kind of a social setting, we were streaming, and the more we played it, the more I was like, my family would really, really like this. We all get together for just about every major holiday, and sometimes just randomly we'll get together. And I remember when the Wii came out, everyone one person got it in my family and everyone freaked out about it and was like, we all have to get one. So now everyone in my family has a Wii. I feel like the Vive system like this would be the exact same sort of thing, where one person, maybe me, would be the person to buy it, and then all of a sudden the entire family would want it. Final thoughts, for me, it's a little bit expensive still, but I'm really excited about this technology, and I could see something like this being something that I might want to make an investment in, maybe put on the wedding registry. It's worth it just to see Wendell punch a bookshelf and not even realize what he did and then just immediately stumble away. I think it's worth it for that alone.
So here's the thing. AVADirect reached out and was like, hey, we like the channel, we want to do something, what do you want to do? And we don't really do the whole sponsorship thing, so it was like, well, you can send us a system, we'll review it, we'll put it together, we'll put it through its paces, and we'll do all that kind of stuff. And we got to talking, and it was like, well, we haven't really done anything with VR. And they were like, you haven't done anything with VR? We sell a ton of systems for VR. And it's like, okay, well, you want to send us a VR system and we'll experiment with it and figure it out? And thus we have this system. This is an i5 9600K. It's pretty well put together, and that's what they sent. And so the VR aspect of it was really kind of a lot of fun. So VR, I've been to Computex, and they always have VR setups, and they always want to show off the latest and greatest, multiplayer VR, and NVIDIA had this crazy VR setup one year, and I probably played whatever game it was they had set up. I don't even remember. It might have been just a tech demo for probably 30, 45 minutes, and I was getting super motion sick. A friend of mine also picked up the original Vive, and maybe his PC's a little weak sauce, I don't know, but it just didn't really sort of click with me. But this thing This thing is actually kind of a lot of fun. Like, I'd never played anything like Beat Saber before, so that was, and like, I'm not actually coordinated and I have no musical ability. So, my expectations going into it were not the best. But I actually had a lot of fun with it, and that's sort of why we're putting this video together, because I expected to look at it from like the technical aspect, and we will. We're going to talk about that and the performance and the frame rate and all this other kind of stuff. But this generation of technology is the first one where I felt like it was actually kind of immersive, and I didn't actually get motion sick, even though we were playing Beat Saber and like the Gorn game for the better part of 3 hours on the stream. And that was surprising. I didn't expect that. I think overall, I don't know, I'm not really sure what my expectations were for this package. I mean, I was kind of familiar with the VR setup, but you've got the base stations that you set up on tripods, and it can see you from a couple of different angles, and then it does headset tracking, and then you've got the 2 wand controller things. The software seems like it's come a long way since the last time I played with it. And then you've got the system, of course. Now the system, it's the i5 9600K, like I said before, with the RTX 2080. The RTX 2080 is a serious amount of horsepower. I would think that it's overkill for the Vive or even the Vive Pro. And I'm sure that a lot of you guys out there that have a lot more experience with VR than I do will say, oh no, I'm running it on a lesser video card and it's completely fine. But the butter smoothness here, just from my own experiences with VR booths and stuff like that like vendor setups, the smoothness on this thing was sort of off the scale compared to those things. And I think that's probably why I didn't get motion sick. The overall package, I think, is pretty important for people that are not super accustomed to picking out all of the exact right parts. You can just go to AVADirect and be like, I need a system that's going to run VR really well and a VR kit. Just figure it out for me. And you get the package deal. So, I mean, what's not to like about that? The pricing's pretty good. I mean, if you order the components individually and put it together, it's going to be about the same price, maybe a little more. So, in going through the room setup wizard, we had the option of basically standing room only, or you can move around the room. We set it up so you can move around the room. It does take up a lot of room, and I think that's probably the biggest downside. Brian talked a little bit about how the equipment is maybe fragile, but I could actually see picking up one of these kits. Like, I think it would. The price is a little high for the VR headset, but this level of technology is so good that I could probably be talked into it. Maybe this would be good for exercise. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Could be a lot of fun. So that's been a quick look at our first experiences with VR, and big thanks to AVADirect for making that happen. Now this is a solid system. It's a closed loop all-in-one cooler. It's an Asus TUF motherboard. It's the Asus RTX 2080. It's the blower style 2080, but it works in this setup, and it's clocked pretty well. The build is really clean. They've got the RGB. The RGB's in a little bit subdued mode. We don't have the RGB that's around the glass panel plugged in, but it is etched tempered glass. It's a pretty nice build in the Corsair case with a Corsair all-in-one water pump. I think that water pump is probably the loudest thing in the system, and it's not super loud. Like, it's, sitting on a desk, it would not be super annoying. The blower fan, when the RTX 2080 gets warm, you can hear the fan, but if you've got headphones on, it's completely fine. It's not annoyingly loud. It's not like 3,000 RPM loud. So there's that. It's a really well put together system. It's a nice, well-rounded package. AVADirect didn't go overkill for like the i7 or the i9. If this is a gaming system with light-duty other stuff, 6 cores is all you need for this. And this is, the proof's in the pudding. Stutter-free, super smooth VR experience. 6 cores, i5. Works really well. So big thanks to AVADirect, and thanks for watching the review. And we'll see you in the forums at Level 1. I'm Wendell, signing out. I'll see you there.